All right, Harry, just lost 3-1 to Man United. Do you wanna break that down for us?
Not really.
No. Cheers, mate. See you later.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah,
Mm,
just predictable. Just
yeah.
incredibly predictable. Just knew what you was going to get. You knew what the second half was going to be like, and you were just waiting for him to score the goals.
Mm.
Just so. It's just heartbreaking to see what's happening. I can't get into it anymore. I can't. I'm not even as bothered as I should be. If you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know that's a good point. It's like it goes from anger to just like apathy, doesn't it?
Yeah. It's better to prepare yourself for what's going to happen. But teams have sussed them as well. Teams have worked them out. Second half, they pushed their two fullbacks on, which means that our two wide players get dragged back, and just we can't get out. And he doesn't seem to have a clue what to do about it. We can all see it, and we didn't create again today. Really, one or two little half chances. It's just you know what you're going to get, and just waiting for the season to end now, and hopefully by some miracle we can do something in a couple of weeks' time. But that could be really embarrassing. That cup final.
I know that could be really embarrassing. Yeah, I'm almost dreading that in a way.
Yeah, you should look forward to it, shouldn't you? And you're not.
You should be looking forward to that because we've got nothing else to play for. So you'd think that we've got a good chance of just throwing everything into that. But I'm not seeing anything that's giving me any kind of hope of some kind of spark in the teams, a sparkle, something that's going to show a little bit of magic in these games. Like we seemed to set up well in the first half, and I thought we played all right in the first half. We had a good shape about us, but then second half it just looked as though the team's just ready to sit back and go on the back foot for like the whole of the second half again. It just doesn't work, does it?
Well, he's been doing it all season. I mean, they worked their way back to when we beat Arsenal at home. I know it was a good result and whatever, but 2-0 up at half time against probably the worst Arsenal side of the last 20 odd years, and we just settled for a 2-0 rather than. And it's been like it all season. You know what you're going to get. Man United knew what was going to happen in the second half. Every Tottenham supporter watching this now will all say the same. We're just waiting, weren't you? You were just waiting for the goals to go in. Kane got totally isolated again, and I don't know, all the rumours coming from Sky are bad, but I'd hate him to go. But if I was to advise him,
Yeah,
I'd go because he deserves better than this.
he does. I mean, I don't know why he's playing like for me, like when he's that far forward, he just doesn't play any kind of influential role in the build-up of the play. And I think we've played better this season when he drops a little bit deeper. For me, anyway. I don't know if you saw it the same way, but it just felt as though it was just like it was a waste playing Kane so far forward like that because he just didn't get involved at all. Or did you see it differently? How did you see it?
Well, I just see it that they did not get enough players forward. You saw it in the last 10 or 15 minutes. There's a couple of times they broke away. He got the ball down the right-hand side at one point. He looked up and he's just on his own. So what can you do? I mean, if he played that Man United side today with Pogba and Fernandes all knocking little balls inside and the fullback, he would have got a hat-trick today for Man United. And how he's top of the goal scoring charts for the service he's getting is incredible.
Yeah, it is.
He's too good. The midfield is just, I mean, Ndombele flicks in and out, but he just gets lost. And the thing that's worrying is that other teams look, I mean, we didn't play in the week, and Man United played Thursday night, and they looked, I thought we had 3 or 4 players that looked like he couldn't move by the time he went off. The Celso hit the wall, Ndombele looked like he hit the wall, and they're the team who played midweek. We don't look fit enough. We don't look sharp enough.
We're not fit enough. Yeah,
it's hard to watch. It's just.
Are you enjoying watching Spurs at the moment?
Not the slightest. Not in the slightest. Of all the time I've watched them, we've had worse sides and we've been worse. But I've enjoyed them more in the past. You know, we had some pretty poor sides in the 90s and that. But
you enjoyed it more, yeah. Aussie Ardealers.
Well, no, but it goes before that. But you know, with what he's got at his disposal and the players he's got. He's not. I mean, look at West Ham. Look what Moyes is doing with West Ham, and look what they've got. Let's be honest about it. Look at their squad and their team compared to what he's got at his disposal, Mourinho, and he's just not getting anything out of them. The players are unhappy. You can see they're unhappy. The way he's dealt with like Ali and people like that, you can see that he's got under people's skin, and it's been the worst season, and we haven't been in the ground. And I'm glad I haven't spent money on a season ticket this year. That's all I can say. Because walking out every week watching that would be painful, absolutely painful.
I mean, you can put up with it if you're like scraping these like 1-0 or something, but we can't even hold on to a goal lead, and it's just the football is it's turgid. It's like AVB on steroids. This isn't it?
It's dreadful. It's just dreadful. It's just predictable. 1 week they drop off. Next week you watch them and they press high out the pitch. Even within a game, they press high out the pitch, then they drop off. I don't think they've got a clue what they're doing. I don't think there's no structure. I think there's a lot of unhappy players. And this is what I've got a very good friend of mine who's a Man United season ticket holder, used to go up there every week when Mourinho was there, from London up to Manchester every week. And he was telling me exactly what he used to feel like at the end of every game, coming back from Old Trafford, and, driving back. This is exactly what Mourinho does, and it's not going to change under him. I don't know who he's going to blame today. He'll find someone else to blame, I'd imagine.
Yeah, he'll say, "Oh, we lost because of the mistakes, the individual mistakes," and that annoys me because it wasn't just the individual mistakes. I actually think their second goal was brilliant. I thought that was just a brilliant goal they scored. But it's just the fact that we sat off and we just stopped playing, and there was no urgency, there was no desire. That's, for me, that's the worrying thing.
Well, the thing is, if you keep giving these other teams the ball all the time, people keep saying, why are we letting goals in late? Well, if the other team have got sort of 70% of the ball on, then these teams, you can't give Cavani and Pogba and people you're not going to keep them out if they're playing around the edge of your box. And people keep saying, why do we keep letting late goals? It's because the other team are dominating the ball. Look at Newcastle last week. How can you have played for large periods against Newcastle at the moment in absolute crisis? And they don't keep the ball. And the manager, to me, it's a matter of when he goes now. And if there was crowds if there was people in the stadiums this year, it would have been toxic over there, absolutely toxic. And he's just been lucky that there haven't been people sort of venting their anger over there, because it's been dreadful. It's been absolutely dreadful.
Can you imagine if Mourinho didn't have Kane and Son? Where we'd be in the league?
Yeah, well, you take them out of it, but you just sort of rely on them. They've got some other good players. I mean, Celso's a good player. Endon Belly's obviously got a lot of ability. Reguilon, I think, is a terrific player. But then you've got other people in there that, Rodon's coming. All of a sudden, he's out. First choice, full, centre half. Toby, earlier in the season, was terrific, and now he's gone. And every week, I've never known a Spurs side ever change the back four as much as how they expect to get a settled side and keep goals out when the back four changes the four centre halves change every week.
Exactly.
No other team does it. No other team in that league. Watch them. No other team. Man United's back two. West Ham's. Arsenal's pretty much. Chelsea's on the whole. And every week the team comes out an hour beforehand, and you're like, what we got today. It's just.
Do you know what? Do you know what, Harry? I sometimes think as though Jose does that so that when there is ultimately going to be we're going to concede a goal, and it will have to come down to an individual error. He can just say, "Oh, those mistakes from the back line. I'll just rotate and I'll bring in someone else next week." And it's almost like all the scrutiny's on the players, but there's no scrutiny on actually the way that we're set up, the way that we're playing. I think it's almost like misdirection in a way.
Well, the inability to keep the ball. The inability to keep the ball. Every week they give the ball away. And teams have worked out, if you pressure Tottenham and put pressure on the players, they go backwards, they go back to the centre half or back to the keeper, and then the centre half. Dyer today, in the first half, 6 or 7 times, got pressured, knocked the ball down the line. Maguire and Lindelof just heading the ball down, and they give possession back again. And then the other team just keep coming back at you. And you know what you're going to get. Second half, everyone watching this, every Tottenham supporter knew what the second half was going to be like. And every Tottenham player probably knew what it was going to be like. And every Man United player. You can imagine Man United's half-time team talk, can't you?
I know, yeah. Just get at them. Just put the pressure on, and that's it. They'll buckle. Yeah, I mean, the sad thing was I predicted 2-1 to United at the beginning of the game. That's before the fucking first whistle went, So, I mean, I could even see it at that point, but and it was 3-1. It's even worse. But yeah, I mean, we've seen it all season long. This isn't anything new. This is a repeating pattern, isn't it?
Well, today, I mean, look, Man United have got some good players and whatever. It's not as heartbreaking, but the Crystal Palace game when they did it, the Wolves away game when they did it, the other games when they've done it, that was just, I couldn't believe what I was watching at times. The way we treated some of those bang average sides. When we went, the Crystal Palace game was just a great example of it, where Crystal Palace were there for the taking. Absolutely. They've been letting goals in for fun. And we went 1-0 up and treated them as if we was playing a top side. Man United, Man City, earlier in the season we did it. Sometimes you've got to do it to a degree. But some of the games this year, I mean, the Brighton game, the first half against Chelsea at home was.
Oh,
I stopped
terrible.
watching. I couldn't watch it. I was getting so wound
They
up.
were running rings around us, weren't they? Chelsea at home.
It was embarrassing. It was embarrassing. And that's the main thing I'd say from this interview. I feel, we get a lot of stick, and rightly so at times on bottle jobs. We're back to being embarrassing again. We had a few years where we could hold our heads up a little bit.
Yeah, a bit of pride.
And it's all gone again now. You get all the memes, don't you, and all the things sent through and all that, and it's another season of absolute embarrassment. It's been dreadful.
I mean, you've been probably watching Spurs longer than I have, and I mean, I say to people when they say you're being negative, I just go, look, my eyes have seen the pain. I've seen everything since around '87 was when I kind of remember my first game. Watching the like the FA Cup final, and when we should have won that. And it's just that kind of like you get your hopes up and then you get hurt, So like I've become immune to it in a way over the years.
Well, you do to a degree, yeah. You do to a degree, but you can't. I feel like I want to give up at the minute, and then next week I'll be watching it again, and you want to. But I genuinely want this season over. I want Mourinho out. I cannot see how he can turn this around. I cannot see. How
you want him out now, do you? You want him out?
100%.
Who would you bring in though? Who'd you get in though?
I don't know. I don't. I've said to quite a few people, it almost doesn't matter with Tottenham, does it? You get the impression that Tottenham, it's just you feel like it's a poison challenge. You could get Guardiola in, and you feel like with 2 years' time we'll be saying what's gone wrong at Tottenham. They've got some. The other thing they've got to do, they've got some incredibly average footballers at the club, and they've got some players that are how they're still at the club. I'll never know. Moussa Sissoko, 4 years? Eric Lamella's been there for 6 and a bit. He's never, ever got to a point where he's a starter at the club. How does he spend 6 years at the club? What other club keeps hold of a player just on the fringes like that and doesn't move them on? Matt Doherty's not good enough. Everybody knows that. Ben Davies ain't good enough. Everybody knows that who you talk to, right? We know that. Sanchez isn't good enough. You've got, Højbjerg's been terrific. You've got Kane and Son. And around that, you've got some very, very average players. But that's what you're going to get when we do what we do as a club. Man United go and pay the wages, so do City, so do Chelsea. I don't know as supporters how we think we're going to compete with those sides when we try and pick up little bargains here and there and a player.
Why didn't we get Cavani? Cavani's a perfect example. We could have gone in for him, couldn't we? And what we end up getting,
Yeah, but when we Cavani, loads of people were saying, it's a panic buy and all the rest of it. And who's going to come to Tottenham and play in behind Kane and all the rest of it? But again, Cavani he's probably on 350 grand a week. And he ain't going to pay that. I mean, obviously they've done the Bale thing, which has been, who would have thought at the start of the season that could turn out the way it's turned out. It's, and they don't pay the money, and they try and find someone who's around that £25 million mark and 80 grand. And then we think that somehow we can compete with the Chelsea, the Man Cities of this world, who have got 4 fullbacks all paid £50 million, for all 4 of them or something. You can't compete. And see what Chelsea have done and all the rest of it. And it's just, but he's not getting anything. He's still got a group of players that should not be this poor. Let's be honest about it. They should not be this poor. And people say all the time to me about winning trophies. I've supported this club a long time. Most of my time supporting Tottenham, we've not won trophies. We didn't win a trophy the last year at the Lane. The last year at the Lane, I could not wait to get over there. I could not wait. The build up to it. And now, so even if we nick a lucky win against Man City next week, if that makes people think that, it's been a success, it hasn't. It hasn't. Because you want to watch, enjoy it and go over there, and you don't go over there and spend your day going over there to watch what we've watched this year, which has been dreadful. I mean, just simply dreadful. So, and yeah. If they'd have won about 3-0 a day, I was wondering what I was going to say.
I know. Yeah, in a way, at least you can speak your truth, because the result kind of correlates with how you're feeling with everything at the moment. So yeah, I mean, it's not been good, has it? And it's just been really dour, turgid football. It hasn't been nice to watch. It's not entertaining in the slightest. It's been very pragmatic. I mean, at times at the beginning of the season, we looked like we were. We found a formula that worked, but I think we were over reliant on Kane and Son to do the damage. And I think when they sort of tired a little bit halfway through the season, that was it. There was no plan B. And I just think that we don't have the, like you say, that the rest of the players aren't. There's so many average players in the team now and the squad that it's just, you know, you couldn't look in amongst that squad and think that we've got a Champions League competing squad, could you?
But even earlier on this season, you've got to realise teams work Tottenham out. Tottenham were playing on the break. Look at the game against Southampton when they got 5. You know, and everyone would have looked at it and said, right, if you get caught short with the back, they're going to rip you apart. And what happens now? They don't do it. Look at Man United. They always made sure that McTominay and Fred are in the middle there, making sure that Tottenham never outnumbered us. And that's what teams are not going to watch you every week and not work out what you're doing. I mean, that Southampton game was a great example. The first half of that game, people forget what we was like. The first half was
terrible, wasn't it?
They should have been 4-0 up, Southampton. But teams look at you. Tottenham have only got one way to play, which is to break against you. Teams have looked at that. They make sure they don't get caught short at the back there against Tottenham. And if Tottenham don't break on you, there's very little else. There's very, very little else to go with it. And it's painful at the moment. It's really, really hard. And all we can hope is you finish above the other mob. That's all I'm thinking about.
Oh, God, yeah, that would be... Let's not even think about that. I've just
I've had it for ages because...
Have you? Oh, God, that would be a real nail in the coffin if that happened, yeah.
Yeah.
Get ready, yeah. All right, Harry. Appreciate you coming on, mate, especially with all your wisdom.
Also, the boys contacted me because I got one score prediction right out in Barcelona when we drew 1-1 out there, and I predicted it was going to be 1-1, and they seem to think now I'm really good at predicting football scores. It just happened to be the one time I got it right.
The one time.
It was on the telly,
yeah.
So...
well, I predicted 2-1 today. I've almost got it that it's 3-1, but, but I just felt that coming. I just felt as though United were going to do us. And it was just like you say at the beginning of this interview, like it was predictable. And we all kind of saw that coming. As Spurs fans, we kind of all saw that, All right, then, Harry, thanks for coming on and giving your opinions. And come on, you Spurs. Cheers, mate.